dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hams in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
It's that dadgum government. And good morning, Muskegon. This is On Muskegon, and I'm Jim Riley, your host for this community conversation. I'm here at Muskegon's Clear Channel Studios with my friend and engineer, that legendary Oscar Osbo, with his new video machine.
Camera,
so make sure you watch.
It's massive.
The Eye on Muskegon show. I guess it would have to be a week from Monday on TV 40 now. I'm all
TV 38. Yeah,
TV 38.
You know, we have this HD quality for analog television. It'll be great. It'll be great.
All right. Yes, we do have HD quality on analog TV, so make sure you tune in for that a week from Monday. Or, of course, you can see the old-fashioned version this coming Monday. And with us in the poop deck is Captain Fred Birch.
Good morning, Jim.
Here to help us out, and we have a really interesting guest today, another politician, which we like some of the politicians, at least those who are
we like all the
verbal.
politicians.
Well, some of them are quite dull. I don't think this one will be. This is a Michigan State Representative.
Would you care to elaborate
which
on
ones
the dull
are dull?
part?
Yeah.
Most
Who
every
are those dull people.
Most every politician we've had on so far has been very dull, but this one I suspect will not be. And I would exclude County Commissioner Alan Jagger. He is definitely not dull. But we will have Michigan State Representative Dave Agema. He is a state rep from the Kent County area, and he's down in what used to be sunny Florida. We expect to have him in at the 9 o'clock hour, and in the event of nature's intervention or some other issues, we will not have him. But we are expecting to have him in that the 9 o'clock hour. And he's also, by the way, recently elected and soon to be sworn in, I guess is the way they do it, as the national committeeman for the National Republican Party. He will be taking the place of Saul Anusis, who was voted down. And, of course, our own state representative, Holly Hughes, was a previous state committee woman, or national committee woman, and she has been replaced by
Terry Lynn Land.
By Terry Lynn Land. So there's some changes at the top of the party. I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time talking wonk stuff like that. But Representative Agem is one of the more conservative state reps in the state of Michigan, and I expect, obviously, with the Republican convention going on, we'll be hearing essentially from the floor. Although I guess they put everything off for a couple of days, so probably the floor of his motel room. Last night or yesterday, we heard that Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, passed away, 82. I would recommend anyone who takes the time just to go to Neil Armstrong, the Wikipedia site. This man had a phenomenally interesting life. He flew jets in the Korean War and test pilot, and of course landing on the moon, and just a tremendous human being and a great person to talk to your kids about how that they might succeed. And it was kind of interesting. He was accepted at MIT and Purdue, and his only friend who had been at MIT said, don't go to MIT. You can get the same education at Purdue, and it's a lot closer. So he ended up going to Purdue. And does anybody know the difference in what he said when he touched on the moon from what he was intending to say? Okay, he said, one small step for man, one great step for mankind. I believe that's...
Are you ready?
Okay. Oh, let's do it. Okay.
Small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
Well, what he intended to say, and one can understand given the emotion that was involved, he intended to say, one small step for a man. And it really does change the tenor.
Yeah, it does.
Of and of course he'd practiced this and everything. He's a smart guy. But the good news is that his misstatement came off quite well anyway. And
Well,
that's
he
that's
couldn't
what we
dance
remember.
either, so that was one thing.
No, he was
a terrible dancer on Dancer with the Stars.
One would.
It's too bad you have to remember that. What was it?
It's too bad you have to remember
him that way.
Being on the moon, as
especially
opposed to
the young kids, if they have to remember him from his dancing, that was not a good thing.
Wait a minute. He was not on Dancing.
It wasn't Neil. Who was it?
No, that was Neil Young.
No. It was.
No, he was not on Dancing with the Stars. I'm sure. He was a really almost.
Are you talking about Wozniak?
No. It was an astronaut. It was Neil Armstrong.
That's possible.
It's
Since
one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
well, he would have said that's a whole bunch of quick steps for man.
I don't think Neil Armstrong was on Dancing with the Stars.
Because actually he was known
I
to
question that.
have avoided a lot of publicity during his lifetime.
But good try, Oscar.
Yeah, well, it's funny. NBC News, MSNBC Online, and NBC News, the brilliant folks. This is the real media, as opposed to the phony baloney media that bloggers and local radio. They headlined Neil Young
Right,
dies.
that was NBC. Yeah.
So there we go.
Really, Neil Young?
Yeah, Neil Young. Professionals at work. Hey, on this day in history. Really interesting in light of the fact that Neil Armstrong has passed away. But today was the day when the Japanese were given the surrender instructions on the U.S. battleship Missouri. Very famous photos, the end of war. And interestingly, somewhat coincidental, I would think, the first Edsel made by Ford Motor Company rolled out. How'd that work out for you? Not all that well.
Do you still see one or two around here?
Yes, there is one that I've seen around. Matter of fact, it looks like the fella is actually driving it as a
regular car. Yeah,
a regular car.
Some of those Edsels, I mean, it outsold the Volt, didn't it? I mean, honestly, I think they've only sold 12,000 volts at this point.
I
I'm
almost
sure
lost coffee on the board here.
There are probably more Edsels running today than volts have been sold.
Certainly more Edsels than Fiskars that are running.
There we go. And interestingly, that my understanding is that the Edsel did not take one penny of taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
So,
and it was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, it was.
It is amazing. Right now there are lots of warnings that GM may in fact go through another bankruptcy proceedings. And astonishingly enough, I mean, we poured taxpayers' money into it. Of course, we own something like 52% of the stock or some ridiculous amount, and that stock has to get up into the like the $56 range for us to get our money back, and it's currently trading at the lows for GM.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that the General Motors stock anyway will rise to the level where it's going to pay back. I believe at this point, because the General Motors itself made the announcement quietly, suppressed, I guess, by much of the media, to bump up the amount that is yet to be paid back to the taxpayers to, I believe they added, I think, $6 billion or maybe $8. Anyway, to about $28 billion is where the taxpayers are in the hole today, notwithstanding those absolutely specious lie-filled ads that were running around about a year and a half ago. General Motors still the taxpayer, $28 billion, folks, or 26. That's a lot of money.
And then the government wants to take credit for saving lots of jobs, and they certainly did save lots of union jobs, but they put out of work a tremendous amount of folks out of Delphi and the dealerships and those types of things through this bankruptcy proceeding, which did not go through normal bankruptcy proceedings, and it's just amazing.
We could do a whole show on that, and unfortunately, it's the net result. I think is going to, as this article you're referring to was in Forbes magazine, obviously a business-oriented and very credible magazine. And I've read the article. It's on MuskegonPundit.com.
Well, that's the one where Fred's got his picture on the front, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Fred, the county commissioner's rule. The taxpayer's friend. Well, that's right. We must remind folks that in addition to being a retired Navy captain and the owner of the poop deck chair here at On Muskegon, Fred is a candidate running for Muskegon County Commissioner up in the hinterlands.
District 9.
The current county commissioner is
Ken Mahoney,
and he's the
chairman of the board.
Board chairman. So he's a very long serving commissioner. So
yeah, he was appointed initially, which I hadn't realized.
Yes, when Steve Wisniewski
that's right.
Passed away. So we will have ample time to talk about that. But as we move on a little bit today, one other event in this day in history, which I think is really critical, and I would hope it becomes a bigger political issue now that we have gas prices at near the $4. I guess it was $1.70 or so when President Obama was inaugurated. This is the anniversary of the first commercial oil well, and this was in Titusville, Pennsylvania, 1859. So from one little Pennsylvania crude well came much of the prosperity that the United States certainly and much of the world enjoys today. We can go backwards if we like.
Do you believe some of the explanations they use for the gas pricing, as far as why it keeps going up each week and going down and going up?
Well, I've done my own research on it, and it's pretty clear. It's 5 letters: China. It's always been supply and demand. It's gasoline, of course, prices are tied to oil prices very tightly. It's 2 words: China and taxes, because the state and federal taxes have gone up. We know in the state of Michigan we got the highest, I believe, the highest state taxes in the country. But China, which didn't buy much in the way of crude 5 years ago, is buying like crazy. And if anyone thinks that's going to slow down significantly,
they're building their industrial base. As you build industrial base and you have lots of economic activity, you're going to use more oil.
Yeah. Which
as you use more oil, the demand gets tighter and prices go up.
The supply and demand isn't just a piece of advice. It is a law. When there is greater demand for whatever the product is, the price will go up unless it's in some manner subsidized, but that doesn't change the ultimate real cost. So. No. Does anybody really trust the oil companies? No. We know that just like the Wall Street bankers, just like the unions, certainly the auto unions, and just like the oil companies, they go out and they buy representatives and they buy senators. And then perhaps they buy presidents so to make life easier for them and profits greater for them. I would just say this: certainly when it comes to the banks and the auto or the banks and the oil companies, if you are concerned about the profits that they're making, buy the stock. Because it is the shareholders who, in fact, are the ultimate benefits. Well, of course, the employees, but the shareholders are the ultimate beneficiaries of that. So if you want to get in on all the lucre, it's an easy thing to do. You can buy a mutual fund or you can buy an individual stock. So, hey, we're going to talk a little bit later on with Representative Agema. I've been saying AG all day. I've got to change that. But we got a call, or at least I got a call, an emotion-filled, hands-in-the-air complaint from one of my good friends, the wife of one of our, I think, finest, currently anyway, finest Muskegon County commissioner. And she was saying, hey, if people want to communicate with you, how do we do that? Suppose especially if you got a guest, because you won't be able to call in today when Representative Agema is on the line. So if you do want to call in, I better give that number, 231-830-3109. You've got to call shortly or sometime after he is off the phone. But if you want to communicate with us, if you've got a question, we're going to try something new. We'll see if I can multitask here.
It's actually not new. It's something new for you.
It's new for Jim.
It's something new for the show. Well, I will say this.
I thought we suggested this before, didn't we?
Yeah, okay. For years.
Well, when I'm criticized enough and when sternly looked at by the wife of a powerful politician in the county, I do tend to respond. And we are going to, or I guess we meaning me, I can change the pronoun here. If you want to send an email in with a question, I'm going to try to at least address the question. And you can send that to On Muskegon, that's one word, EYE, on Muskegon.com. No, at gmail.com, onmuskegon at gmail.com. Or you can go to Facebook and find Jim Riley. You can like Jim Riley. I guess you have to do that in order to send me an email.
You might have friends.
And this is the only way I could, aside from paying, and that didn't work out that well earlier. So aside from paying, you can go there, and it's Jim Riley in Norton Shores. And if you want to,
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You folks are really waiting for the onslaught of questions. But nonetheless, those are 2 ways you can do it. We'll see how it works. And so you'll be able to ask questions of myself, Captain Fred, Oscar, and any of the guests that we have in today's guest.
Captain's going to teach you how to do the IM, too.
That's right. I'm going to teach Jim how to do IM after this is all over.
Yep.
I understand there is this IM thing.
Yeah, so that you can talk to people right on.
I have a new cell phone.
It's amazing.
And I've got the challenges are legend for me on the internet, but who knows? We'll give it a shot. So, but one of the things that we will come back after the break is we'll talk a little bit about Representative Agema's lawsuit against the county of Allegan. So we'll be back after this break.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops, or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
Oh, our poor pockets constantly stretched by the hands of government at every level. And one a giant hand that is looking to dip into our pockets, in Muskegon County anyway, is the hand that will bring us a new jail. And I give the Chronicle, and I give the county commissioners credit. We'll see how they ultimately do this, but they called an intensive 4-day planning session for Muskegon County Jail juvenile facilities is set for next week, starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And you can go to I think if you just Google on Muskegon, you can Google jail, or you can try to struggle through the very slow MLive website and get the article and get the times. But it's apparently they're going to be open and honest. At least that's their
that's the
way they're presenting it.
I mean,
Can I real quick? I got to watch how I say this, but a buddy of mine filmed some of the stuff that was going on in the jail to show exactly why it was in the poor shape it was and why it should get replaced and blah, blah, blah. And they really couldn't come up with enough footage to make it really worthwhile. So it never did come about, because I was supposed to play it on Muskegon TV and the whole thing, and it never came about.
They couldn't. Well, one thing that I've heard from, now I've not been in the jail, although I understand that my opponents in politics would love to see myself permanently as an expert in the jail, but that has yet to happen. But everything that I've heard and everything that I've read is that the jail is the paint's awful, the ceilings are bad, the carpet's bad, it's smelly. That's all janitorial. Right. One would question, why did we essentially reelect the sheriff, whose one of his major jobs is to keep this thing in order, if he can't even do the basic janitorial in this jail? And why would we expect that the carpets would be better, that the paint would be newer, that the smell would be less odoriferous with the same guy managing it?
Well, it does beg the question. Where did the maintenance funds for the last, years and years and years go if they didn't go towards maintenance? And I think somebody has to ask those questions.
Well, I did ask it. Of course, got no response.
Right,
yeah,
and that's one of the things. That's why there is some reluctance to totally embrace this newfound transparency that the board is coming up with. People have been trying to ask questions and getting no answers.
Well, next,
most stuff I saw though was plumbing, and it was patchwork that was done to the plumbing. Why would you do patchwork to plumbing? I mean, you do that to keep it so it doesn't leak until you fix the problem.
Well, the allegation from insiders is that in fact, regular, normal, routine maintenance has been purposefully put off in order to make this look worse than it is, because I've heard no one suggest that there's any structural problem there. Now, I don't want to spend too much time here, because this is what we're going to talk about next week on the show. But I wanted to make sure that people knew that this is an opportunity. I will attempt with myself and hopefully some help to video all of this. And one of the big questions that I've got is, where are all of these very expensive consultant reports that have been produced over the last 5
I've
years.
asked that question, and at least Mr. Gartner from the paper claims that those will be presented during the needs assessment portion of this meeting. Now, as I understand it, there's been 6 or 7 studies on
Certainly
this.
over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, tremendous amount of money spent on these things, and I agree with you. I don't see how you could do that in one day, let alone 1 hour worth of time.
Well, we're going to, like I say, we will attend this. I certainly encourage you to attend it and
participate.
And participate. I do want to move on one other thing that really bothered me. A few weeks ago, Congressman Hoekstra came in and had a meeting with certain business owners, and I was able to attend. And one of the most the well-respected business owners who was there, certainly one whose name would be familiar, mentioned very seriously that, hey, we've got a problem in our community with culture where it's too easy to not work. And in fact, he mentioned that he is having a bit of a problem hiring people. And this kind of gets to me with the 2 headlines that have happened over the last week or so. All Grand Rapids schools students can eat lunch and breakfast for free under a new federal pilot program. And this followed a couple weeks ago, I guess. Muskegon Public Schools will also get free lunches and breakfast. But here's a comment from the Director of Food Service for the district. That means parents have been freed of the chore of making lunches. We're gosh darn excited about it. Think about that concept. They're freed of the chore of making breakfast or lunch for the children. Is this the society that we really want to develop, to encourage? Is this the society that we want to encourage our kids and tell them that really, when you grow up, in particular because you are a city or a student at risk, that you ought to get free breakfast and lunch? And then when will we start hearing the caterwaul that these poor children are going to bed hungry? Why should they not get dinner?
Where's my free cheese?
How about snacks? Why? Yeah, cheese is probably too fat for a current. Where's my broccoli or where's my asparagus stick? But folks, this is where we're going. We do vote in November on, I believe, every single available, at least open, school board seat. And this is the new wave. Government providing everything, taking away, what was the term? Taking away the chore. How about, why should parents be forced to change their babies' diapers or help dress their kids? That's a chore.
Yeah, but if you take this far enough, then pretty soon we're not going to even be responsible for conception.
Chore isn't the right word, though, because there's a lot of parents out there that unfortunately don't do anything for their kids, and that's, at least the kids do get something. So that's the worst thing that I worry about anyway.
There's any number of ways to look at this, although I want to go back to Fred's concept.
Yeah.
I think that the government's already getting itself involved in conception, at least with the taxpayer.
Right.
Well, it is pretty astonishing when people say, stay out of the bedroom, but pay for my birth control.
But exactly, yes. Or how about stay out of the bedroom, but gosh darn it, make sure you're here in the kitchen for me every morning. So hopefully we'll get through and have a conversation with Representative David Agema right after the break.
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds, open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll-free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
And we've got those hands in every pocket of our clothes, and we're looking at where those hands are going. And this is On Muskegon. Good morning, Muskegon. Sitting here, this is Jim Riley, your host. I'm sitting here with Captain Fred Birch, Oscar Osbo, and on the telephone, we've got Michigan State Representative David Agema. Good morning, Mr. Agema.
Good morning.
You're down in Florida for the Republican National Convention, and we appreciate not only your efforts to be available to us, but also Mother Nature's apparently hesitating a little bit and not attacking the Republicans as some on, I know MSNBC were hoping that this would be a Holocaust event, but it has not turned out to be. What's the weather like down there?
Well, right now I'm looking out my window and it's just overcast. But I will admit this was the first time, I was in the military for 26 years. We used to evacuate the airplanes when you knew a hurricane was coming in, and I found myself flying into one. So it's a little different than usual here.
I love that. Yes, and you are a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, I understand. And,
right, and I flew with the airlines as well.
And I understand that also. As a matter of fact, I looked up your Wikipedia entry. There's some interesting additions to that I would like to clean up, but it seems like you're a Republican representative. As a matter of fact, I do want to mention Captain Fred Birch, who's sitting next to me, who was also actually he's a candidate himself for Muskegon County Commissioner, but he is a retired Navy captain. So we got the military on board here today.
Hoorah!
Very good. Did he fly, or was he just the
no? I was a surface guy. I drove ships. I was a real naval officer.
I got it.
A swabby, but nonetheless, hey, we are glad to have you here. And I know we're going to be tight for time, but one thing I would like to ask you about is that back in I believe it was April, there was an event with Kaleem Salam, I believe his name is, who was going to be talking about Islam and some of the changes that some of the Islamic supporters wanted to have in this country and his experiences. And that was shut down by, I believe it was the county sheriff in Allegan. And you had subsequently filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Allegan for this. And just as a little background, apparently everything was all set. All the papers had been signed to have this gentleman come in and give his talk. And someone had, in some manner, presented to the sheriff that there was a $25 million bounty on the head of the speaker, and that got the sheriff all geeked and said, no, we can't have this event in the school, which I understand was they did after they kicked everybody out. They were able to finish it in a bowling alley. So bowling alley apparently is a lot more secure than the public schools in Allegan. So can you tell me the status of this lawsuit?
Well, first of all, I want people to know that this is the first time that this individual's had this happen. His name is Kamal Salim. He wrote the book Blood of the Lambs. He's a former Muslim Brotherhood terrorist, but never did terrorism in the United States. He came here and was in a severe accident, became a Christian, converted. So The Muslim community hates them, quite frankly, and anytime you convert from Muslim to Christianity, you can have a fatwa on your head. We don't know how much money he has on his head. For that matter, I may have one on mine because of the bills I put in for American law for American courts. But what happened is they were notified. There was myself, Commissioner Sage, set it up over there, let the school know who he was, let the police know who he was. And then what happened is CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, wrote letters to everybody trying to stop him from speaking because he's speaking out against the radical Muslim threat. Now, I just want you to know the radical Muslims only are about 14 or 13%. The rest of them that are here actually, frankly, are here because they want to get away from that kind of stuff. So what happened is, about midway through that program, I was speaking about my illegal immigration bills, which allows illegals to come in as well as terrorists. And I was speaking about my American law for American courts preventing foreign law from getting into our court system like Sharia law.
So you were a co-speaker in this event.
Yes.
Okay.
I had spoken already, and Bill Sage had spoken about constituting Michigan concerning our schools to make sure that they're teaching, our Constitution and so forth to the schools. And midway through, I was told, hey, come out here, they want to shut us down. So I went out the back, and I said, what are you shutting us down for? And they said, well, we heard he has money in his head. I said, well, where'd you hear that from? He said, well, somebody told us. Well, if he'd have done his homework because they knew who he was, they'd have found out that anybody who speaks out against this has money on their heads. But the point is, it's never happened anywhere else. He's spoken well over 200 times in colleges, schools, Air Force Academy, and everywhere throughout the United States. It's never happened. So ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice, called and asked if they could use this as a case because they're getting sick and tired of CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, trying to shut speakers down that speak out against radical Islam.
Now, can I interject here? CARE, which is the Center for American Islamic Relations, is headquartered in Michigan, in Dearborn. Is that correct?
They're all over the place, but they have a headquarters there. That's true.
And one of the tools that they have been using in order to foment their agenda is to sue anybody who makes any comments that they deem negative towards their cause. Is that correct?
That's correct. And what they try to do is shut anybody down, and that's what they were trying to do here. So ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice, looked at this as a perfect case to stop this from happening. And by the way, CARE was also listed as an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trials as being an agency that funnels money to Hamas and Al-Qaeda against our troops. So, this isn't just a typical organization. This is a radical organization. And I'd add that the bill I spoke about, which CARE came out in opposition to, the American leadership, the Muslim American Leadership Coalition, I think I might have a few of those words messed up, came out in support of my bill. I actually had one of the ladies come to Lansing, and we had an oversized crowd in our room there, about 160 people. She spoke and said, I came to this country to get away from this kind of thing. And this bill, my bill, Benjamin's bill, House Bill 4769, will prevent Sharia law from happening because it just clarifies the policy to the progressive liberal judges that they will not use foreign law, whether it's Jamaican law, Chinese law, or Russian law, whatever the law might be, in a court of law if it causes any U.S. citizen to lose their constitutional rights, either federal or state.
Now that sounds That sounds pretty reasonable to me. Just we want to be the beneficiaries of American law. I've heard certain talking heads derisively talk about your bill. What's the status of it at this point?
Well, it's stuck in the Judiciary Committee because a couple of agencies, CARE, for example, came out against it. And quite frankly, I think CARE's done a little work negatively with the Catholic bishops. They came out against it because they thought they'd lose the canon law. My reply to them was, why do you think that's by maintaining our constitutional law and a court of law is going to cause you to lose your canon law? It won't. For 200 years you haven't. And all this does is tell the judge, use state constitution or federal constitutional law and a court of law. So none of your litigants lose their constitutional rights. The only people that will be against this are those that want to change our constitutional law for their benefit, i.e. CARE and other organizations like that. So I think the holdup is some of the organizations, in my opinion, that have not done their due diligence on this bill and do not know the history of why the bill was put in. For example, there's been over 72 cases in the United States where foreign law has been interjected into a court case, and it had to go to appeals court to get reversed. There's been, I believe, 2 in the state of Michigan. 50 of those cases in 23 states were specifically Sharia law. Muslims trying to shove their Sharia law into a court of law. For example, if I say I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, and I'm a Muslim, you're divorced. Well, in our court of law, you're not. According to Sharia law, I can beat my wife. In our laws, you cannot. It's just anathema to our Constitution. So as soon as I put this bill in, which does not mention Sharia law at all, it just says any foreign law, there were demonstrations in Dearborn, in Detroit, because they knew exactly what this bill was going to do. It was going to clarify that policy so they could no longer interject Sharia law into Michigan. That's the issue.
Well, okay, this to me is a very critical issue, and I'm sure it's being fought in other states on the same side that you're suggesting. But the Republicans in the state of Michigan control the House, the Senate, and the governorship. So the people who are holding this up, at least some of them, are Republicans. Is that correct?
You're absolutely correct.
Do you want to name some names?
No, I'd prefer not to name some names, but I will say this. This issue and the illegal immigration issue, which both tie into security, both for your rights and for your fiscal and rights and so forth for the state of Michigan, are big issues for me. So my intent is if they will not take these bills up, I'm going to go ahead and discharge these bills to the floor.
And what does that mean? Can you explain that?
If I put a bill in and it goes to a committee and they refuse to take it up or talk about it or whatever, I can stand before the legislature and put a little piece of paper in one day that says I'm discharging the bill. The next day I speak to it and say I'm formally discharging this bill from the committee. And then the leadership of the House and or the Senate, in this case I'm in the House, has a choice. They can allow a vote on this immediately, or they can say we're going to pass it for the day and bury it and you'll never see it again. I happen to know the American Law for American Courts bill. If I discharge this and they don't allow a vote, I don't think they've done due justice to the system because I have enough votes to pass this.
It's hard for me to imagine that there would be. I can appreciate certainly from the position of care that there would be opposition, but from the general public in the state of Michigan, having American law for Americans, it almost seems like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. Why would anybody even have to do this? But in fact, you've just told us of any number of hundreds of reasons why we need to have this addressed.
It has to be, and it's an important issue. Your constitutional, just look at England, for example. I challenge the people out there, just dial in your little computer there, Google England/Sharia law. See what happened to them. Finland, the Netherlands, Holland. All these people lost their constitutional rights. They now have Sharia law zones in England, Sharia law courts, because it gradually gets in. They have a covert operation and an overt operation. In fact, that's what Kamal Salim was speaking about, because he lived it, he knew it, he understood it. He says the average American does not understand what's coming our way. In fact, when I was in Russia several years ago, the individual that I was dealing with, I was on a hunting trip there that everybody heard about. He told me, you people have no clue what's coming to the West when it comes to the Muslim threat, the radical. Now, I'm going to separate the two. There are a lot of good people here, and it's freedom religion. You can be whatever you want to be. But radical Islam has no place in America. And if they're going to push Sharia law, that is anathema to our Constitution.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I know that at least, maybe perhaps you can update this, but I know that in Ontario, Canada, a judge did say that Sharia law could be allowed. I don't know the ultimate result of that. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yes, I heard about that. And one of the cases they always refer to in the United States where a woman was getting beat by her husband, and she went to the court that wanted a restraining order. The judge, being a progressive judge, says, well, you're both Muslims. I'm going to let an imam decide that. And the imam says, well, hey, you can beat your wife. So she had to go to the appeals court to get justice. So she lost her constitutional rights in the lower court because the progressive judge did apply foreign law, which is just wrong.
So if
I feel that if I put this bill in and it gets passed, it's just another message to those liberal progressive judges. You pull this kind of stuff, maybe we're going to start looking at ripping your judgeship away because you shouldn't be doing this.
Well, I must say this is a courageous quest on your part. And I appreciate your perseverance on it, and we will try to give you as much help as we can over here and get the word out. I know that there's a wonderful guy down in Ottawa County, Jim Chiodo, who has been putting on seminars, and of course he was involved in this event down in Allegan. But question, let's get back to the event back in Allegan. It appears that the folks at CARE, the extreme Islamists in our state and in our country were successful in getting you shut down in this event. What's the status of your lawsuit at this point?
Well, again, BCLJ came to us and said they do it pro bono. They wanted to do the case because they wanted to stop this dead in its tracks. They tried to put a stay on it, didn't work, so it's still going to go forward. It's not done. It'll happen. It's just a matter of time. The lawyers all got to do their little stances here and there and put their briefings in, but it'll go forward. I told the sheriff at the time. He didn't know I was a state rep, by the way, but I walked back and I asked him, why are you shutting it down? And he says, well, we understand he has money on his head. And I said, well, have there been any threats? No. Was there anybody protesting? No. Have you heard any problems? No. And I said, I think it's a freedom of speech issue here, but I'll go back there and shut it down. When I walked back in the auditorium, I grabbed the mic from Kamal Salim, and I told everybody there, we're going to have to go ahead and shut this down because your police chief here is shutting us down because he thinks there's a threat or whatever. And a lot of people said, no, have him arrest us all. I said, no, don't do that. He has the right to do this. I think he's wrong in what he's doing, but he has the right. So, if it was really an emergency like they thought, I think we hung around there for at least another 35 or 45 minutes where people were talking to Kamal and he was selling some of his books, and we finally, a lot of them left and went to the bowling alley. So it wasn't like it was an emergency. I mean, they knew it was an emergency, and the sheriff and some of his deputies were just being inundated in the hallway by the people that were very angry. They felt like their rights were being trampled on.
Well, to me, there's a bigger story here, even from what you've just said, and that is the absolute ease and success of a group that is clearly anti-American in shutting down freedom of speech in our country. Just a simple, it's not really much different than somebody phoning in a bomb threat to a school or to an airport or whatever. And if we are going to allow our police, the people who are supposed to protect us, to be bounced around by a simple phone call on a regular basis, that will shut down. Not only will it shut down freedom of speech, but it's going to shut down folks like you who are brave enough and courageous enough to stand tall and put bills out there. It will put other supporters, potential supporters, and in this case, let's say the Catholic Church, it'll have them running for the tall grass too, because they're afraid of this very organized and powerful organization.
Oh, yeah, and that's how they operate. They operate out of fear. And you got to remember, they also, I believe, I may be incorrect in this, but I think I'm correct. CARE also contacted the school, they contacted a newspaper. And by the way, the police over there also, I believe, knew exactly who this guy was, and they could research whatever they wanted to research ahead of time. So the key here is, if they get away with it here for the first time, in over 200 presentations or 220 presentations, they'll do it everywhere they can. So that's what we want to stop. It's just a matter of we don't want this organization to get away with what they're doing. This is our country. We're going to maintain our country. We're going to maintain our freedoms. And I just do not want to bend over for an organization or organizations that they represent or have given money to that want to destroy America. I'm sorry, but I just won't do that. I spent too many years in the military to give up here right on my own home soil.
Well, don't be sorry at all. Thank you. We need tough-nosed folks. We need people willing to stand tall, because we know that you've become a lightning rod. And I have heard on some Michigan radio stations folks making fun, making light of this event. And it's funny, at the same time I'm rereading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And back in the early 30s, very similar tactics were used and successful in shouting down and shutting down opposition to some very odious events that obviously resulted in one of the worst events in the history of the world.
Exactly correct. Most people are not knowledgeable of history to understand all we're doing is repeating it.
Well, let's go to move to some much more fun items. We've got a situation where we had, I'm sure you voted for these laws, where our governor vetoed these voter ID and voter assurance laws. What are your thoughts on that, and what can be done to get some more safety back into our voting process?
Well, first of all, we approved it as a legislature. Snyder vetoed it. What we basically asked for is an ID requirement when you vote. Is that such a difficult thing? I mean, I can't rent a car, I can't do anything. I came here to the hotel and I had to show my ID. We know that fraud is going on. You know, you've heard about people that are voted that have been dead for 5 years or so forth and so forth. In New Hampshire, they showed many people that were dead that were still voting. There's gaps in the system. Indiana and Georgia are the most conservative. They require some kind of driver's license ID or government ID to vote. The Supreme Court has ruled that no one has been disenfranchised by having these kind of laws on the books. To me, I don't want illegals voting in our election cycle and swinging an election. And quite frankly, what just occurred with the president, when we allowed these people to stay that were illegals, according to some newspapers, that he's just garnered 70% of the Hispanic vote. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I can just tell you right there in Holland, Michigan, it's not my district, but I got a phone call here a couple months ago from an individual that begged me, and he was Hispanic, spoken a little bit of an accent, please pass your E-Verify bills because I'm losing my business. I said, well, what's going on? He said, they're coming in here, they're illegal, they're working for half the price, I can't bid on a job, I get outbid, I'm losing my business. I asked him, will you be willing to testify? And there was silence. And then I said, can you testify? And then he said, I can't. I said, why is that? He said, if I testify, they'll kill me. I said, I can't testify. So he was afraid to testify. So, I mean, there's a lot of Hispanics getting hurt by this. And it's not just Hispanics. We have people sneaking in from Russia, from China, from India, from Jamaica, various parts of the world. So, I mean, everybody thinks we're just picking on, the Hispanics. We're not. But the whole point is you should come here legally, not illegally. And that's been a big thing of mine. I was a pilot during 9/11, and I lost some of my friends then. Some of those guys, one at least, that crashed into the towers had a Michigan driver's license. A week after that incident, we caught a guy that was driving, I believe it was in Indiana, a hazardous material, and he was an illegal. And he had obtained that driver's license in the state of Michigan using foreign data, which is baloney. So that's another issue. I know our new Secretary of State is cutting back big time on that, catching individuals trying to get driver's license. And that driver's license issue opens up all kinds of doors. I mean, you can get on an airplane, you can work. I had an individual testify at the committee that he was a sick contract. He did work at Grand Rapids Airport. When they had to get badged, 5 of his people ran. He says, I thought they were here legally, but they just came into the country illegally, used fake documentation, got their driver's license, and they were illegal as heck.
Well, I would just say that the one thing that must be at least made public is that for every person who votes illegally, it takes away, it nullifies, it negates the vote of an honest American citizen. And while the left, and let's be clear about this, it may not be that the Republican Party is pure, but the Democrat Party is almost 100% pure in their opposition to making our elections safe and honest. And the Democrat Party at the state level and at the national level is against having verifiable voter ID, photo ID, and I think it's critical that we understand that so many people like to mention that there's the two parties are the same. I don't why even bother voting, and they're very clear. Now we've got a couple. We're running out of time here, and just one quick question.
Sure.
Where are we now? The Republicans in the Michigan State House and Senate voted for these bills that will help clean up and make our elections honest. Where are we now that the governor has vetoed these?
Well, the only way we can stop it now is to override with a 2/3 vote. I think we have the 2/3 vote in the Senate. But the trouble is, in the House, we don't have the majority like the Senate does. I'd like to see that overturned, but I don't think we have the votes for it because I think the Democratic side will vote against those.
All right.
So that's a problem.
Okay, well, it is a problem, and this is a problem that it seems to me, and my hope in this show, and I know that it's shared with the other guys with me, and certainly with you, is that we can get the word out to the voters in our state. It's critical that we understand that there are issues out there. We know that the media doesn't give the time or even the detail necessary for a lot of us to make an informed vote. And all I can say is, as we let you go here, is that thank you so much for your efforts. I know it takes a lot of courage. I know that you've got to be under the gun. You're certainly under the gun of a very well-financed, well-organized Council for Arab American Relations and Care, thanks for what you're doing, and good luck down there in Florida, and it looks like it's going to be a good time. I think the weather's going to help you out. So thanks so much, Representative David Agema.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it. You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Talk of Muskegon. News Talk 1090. WKBZ.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
Oh, my golly, those dadgum governments got not only their hands in the pocket of our clothes, but the dadgum government, certainly here in Michigan, is allowing folks like the CARE people, the Center for Arab American Relations, to shut down freedom of speech in our state, and we've got, sadly, Republican and certainly overwhelmingly Democrat elected senators and congressmen or representatives who are against requiring that we prove that we are American citizens when we vote with photo ID. And I've got a little anecdote. I was at a Muskegon County Republican Party meeting about a month ago, and a lady of color stood up and she gave an impassioned talk about why photo ID was voter suppression and why we have to be against that. And what I found interesting was she was, probably certainly into her 50s, so her mother would have been into her 70s or better. And she said that her mother did not have photo ID, and that how important it was for her to vote, and how she took her mother to voting and things of that sort. And it occurred to me that here's this woman, well-spoken, attractive lady, well-dressed, pretended to be a Republican. She most certainly was not. Certainly not a conservative. And here she's got a 60, 70, 80-year-old mother, and she never bothered to help her mother get photo ID. How you know how hard it is to be a citizen in our country when you don't have photo ID? And I can understand that perhaps you're not going to reach out and try to get, you're going to drive down to Detroit and try to help folks out there get photo ID. But you'd think that if your mother lives in Muskegon County, you might have tried to help her out once.
Well, interestingly enough, in Pennsylvania, they had a lawsuit, And this was within the last 2 weeks. They had a lawsuit against the Pennsylvania state ID voter law, and they were losing. And in the midst of that, they had their prime example of a person who was being disenfranchised. Decided she'd had enough, and she was going to actually go down and see if she could get an ID. And so she went, and she was accompanied by some news people. And she walked down there, and just, the people at the desk didn't know that she was one of the prime complainants or anything. And she brought in her information. She had a couple of old bills and a this and a that, and part of a Social Security card, and things that you might have in your wallet or your purse. And the gal looked at it, and she said, "Oh yeah, well, under our law, we have there's a discretionary portion on here." And she said, "Yeah, this doesn't exactly fit all of the parameters, but you've got enough information here, and so I'll issue you your ID." And she issued her state ID and handed it to her. And the lady walked out, and the newsmen ran and filed a story. And next thing you know, all these people who had said that she'd had years and years and years she couldn't possibly get an ID. Well, it turned out that yes, she did, and it took her about 10 minutes or 15 minutes in order to get an ID.
Yeah.
And so it's, it is, just as you said, why is this such a problem? I don't know.
It isn't. My brother was a schizophrenic. He's no longer living. He was in and out of state.
He had 2 IDs?
Oh.
I'm sorry, that was a really bad joke.
What a great Sunday morning making. I will take the high road here, but my brother was a schizophrenic. He was in and out of state mental facilities and halfway houses and things of that sort. And he had, of course, did not have a driver's license, but he was easily able to get a state photo ID. And in fact, I would imagine he certainly was eligible to vote, whether he did or not. But this is a bogus lie that is being, I think, very successfully sold to a lot of America. And they've come up with a great phrase, voter suppression. Republicans don't want minorities, women, anybody, I guess.
Dead people.
The dead people, communists, Mexicans, to vote in elections. And voter suppression is a great word. But for every person who does vote illegally, it nullifies your vote. And I know I almost always vote without photo ID. It's very easy to do in Michigan. When you go in and say, I'm voting, I don't have photo ID, they give you a little piece of paper where you test by signing your name. And you have to have the address, and I believe birthday also, that you are who you are. Now, that only matters. I don't think we have any serious voter fraud here in Muskegon County. Certainly not at the polling place that I go to in Norton Shores. But you can buy for $10, and I've said this before, but we've got to stop this. For $10, you can buy a list of every single, an Excel spreadsheet, every single person who has voted or every person who's registered to vote in any district you want. And it's very easy to weed out the people who are registered to vote, because most people are registered because of motor voter. You can weed those out from the people who tend to vote on a regular basis. So you can get a target-rich environment of people who are legally registered to vote, but who never bother to vote. And on that Excel spreadsheet, it has their complete first, middle, and last name, their spouse, their complete address, whether they voted before, whether they're absentee or not, and it has your year of birth. In the old days, it had the exact birth date. Well, even if you put a phony, June 12th, 1949 or whatever, it's rarely going to be challenged. And in particular, it will not be challenged if, in fact, the people on the other side of the table are in cahoots with the attempt to have voter fraud. And this we know in Missouri, I believe, at one of the cities in Missouri in the last election, they had over 100%, I think it was 103% of all the registered voters in some of the districts voted. So in other words, voting fraud was massive and organized and easily done, and it certainly could be done here. There's one political party that wants to require that everybody have photo ID in order to vote. There's one political party in the state of Michigan that is adamantly against that. There is a very strong difference. Not that I'm a crazy Republican. I'm a reluctant Republican. But in this issue, most of the Republicans are for requiring that you prove who you are. And
yeah, but what Fred said, though, that was kind of like the person's error behind the desk. Really, it wasn't really because the laws were in place. It's just that she didn't follow the procedure.
No,
she should have.
The point was that the person behind the desk did have the capability to use her judgment, and she judged that, yes, there's plenty of stuff here that shows that you are a citizen, and so they did provide the ID, and that's a good thing, not a bad. I would say that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It shows that government is not just a rote.
Yeah, I suppose. But like I told you and John last week that I went to vote for president, and they showed them my ID and everything else, and they said I wasn't there. I was at some other place, and I said, I registered for here, and they said, no, you're not on the list. So I went to the other place, and they said, no, you're not on the list. I went back. Oh, yeah, you are. You're here on the list. We missed it. I almost, I went to two different places. I was about ready to say, forget it. I'm not going to. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that some people make some stupid errors.
They do make stupid errors.
Yeah,
and it is possible.
Well, the people who sit behind that desk when you go into the polling place, they're not Einsteins.
I know they're
not.
They're volunteers mostly.
Yeah,
most of them
well, they are paid. They're compensated quite well.
Okay.
But they're there to do a basic minimal job, and frankly, I think they do a very fine job. But the system is set up so that if you are not a thief, a crook, and a liar, you don't even imagine that someone would attempt to change and to cheat. And in fact, we know it happens all the time. I want to change the subject a little bit here
because I was trying to figure out if I actually register. I'm thinking, did I actually register? I almost didn't vote because I thought, did I actually register?
I actually take my registration card down with me. I'm a very methodical person. I take the registration card down with me and make sure.
Well, you swabbies are different from the rest of us. I got
squid. People call it squids, not swabbies. Swabbies is so 70-ish.
Well, this show sadly is 70-ish. Where were you in 1969? As a matter of fact, with Neil.
I still got a shirt from 1976.
Yeah, yes, I do.
I was actually in boot camp when they landed on the moon, and we were not allowed to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, so everything I've never seen it live.
Oh my God, you're one of the few Americans of your age that did not see it on TV. Oscar, where were you on that day?
I was at school, and they put us in front of a TV, and we watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched it at the time, my girlfriend's house, and it was an amazing thing. Everyone in the country was watching that. Hey, I changed the subject.
Shows how much younger I am than
my
you guys.
head looked like a moon because I shaved it.
Well, that's because you were in boot camp. They shave everything in boot camp. What kind of time do we have, Oscar? Just a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to mention something. I know the news media just was in a snit when Mitt Romney made mention that no one's asked he or Paul Ryan for their birth certificate. And of course, the left has come up with this another way to suppress free speech, which is, demonizing it and saying if you even have these thoughts, you're, in this case, a birther. And how dare you even say that? It's already been settled science. But something that's been around, and this is proven. Matter of fact, I've double-checked it, double, triple, quadruple-checked it. But when Barack Obama first submitted his initial book, he had to submit specific information about his birth history. This is the information that was submitted by Barack Obama to his publisher. Quote, Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. Now, again, the person who put this together didn't say, hey, I'm just going to, out of thin air, say that this guy was born in Kenya. He was given the information specifically by Barack Obama, and this is published. It's been out there for a long time. I don't know where he was born.
And by the way, it was not changed until 2007.
And it was not, okay, now that I was unaware of. But to suggest that anybody who might have a question about Barack Obama's birth, when in fact he was either a liar in this or he was the first birther. Perhaps Barack Obama was the original.
Well, there's a lot of theories about it, not the least of which is that people looked at it and said, well, he may have just been trying to enhance his credibility on the book, and that's why he put that information.
Well, as I say, he's either a liar or he was the first birther. But my point about this is not to get deep into where he was born, but that the left has, frankly, quite successfully, and the media has successfully created this society that we live in, where if you even dare ask the question, you are demonized as a birther, or in the case of somebody who might suggest that it isn't settled science about global warming, that in fact you are a denier. And I assure you,
skeptic.
Or a skeptic. And I assure you, as time goes on, as we saw or heard from Representative Agema, that if you dare suggest that this obvious active movement to bring Sharia law worldwide, but certainly here in Michigan, is something to be concerned about and can easily be fixed without anything onerous, that you are in fact going to be declared some term, which I imagine is out there.
Which leads you to the frog in the boiling water scenario. The water just keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and because we just keep denying that those things exist, it goes away.
Sounds like you're a denier. Well, we do have a break coming up. We'll argue about denials, deniers, birthers, and the others when we come back.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it. You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hams in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
Okay, well, lots of off-air discussions here. Hey, a couple of things I just want to touch on here. There's some headlines that caught my attention the past week. Detroit bus system leader reassigned after it's learned he's also employed in New York. This is the Detroit bus system.
It's a long commute.
Yeah, he's reassigned. Even it turns out he's got a full-time job in New York, so you can imagine how. And what's even interesting here
I like
is
the horseshoe in Detroit.
Exactly. the Detroit Public Works, their water department employs a horseshoer. Gets paid, interestingly, $25,000 in pay, but $27,000 in benefits. The Detroit Water Department has approximately twice the number of employees that comparable city water departments have, and they're saying that they're understaffed. Actually, the union guy said we need actually more people. So there we go. Another one that
they have no horses, by the way.
Well, one doesn't know, and one would wonder why they would have them, but who knows. A headline that did catch my attention, I won't go into great detail about this, but this was a AP headline. It says, woman kills elderly neighbor with her bra. So
sounds like a DeUper story going on there.
Well, I would just suggest that if it's hopefully that the president, the first lady had read this, or certainly Mayor Bloomberg in New York, and
ban bras.
People don't kill.
You ever see
people.
the DeUper slingshot?
People.
Yeah, right. You ever see the DeUper slingshot, the double barrel?
Well,
yeah, and if you ban bras, only outlaws will have bras.
Well, again, you might want to do your own homework. It is on MuskegonPundit.com if you're so inclined.
Sad, but it's funny.
Here's a shocker. Here's a headline: a government report: wind energy needs taxpayer support to survive. There's So
that's a real newsworthy item.
Yeah, interestingly, it was from Michigan Capital Confidential, the Mackinac Center group, but they were chuckling about that also. And actually, that leads me to something that just happened this past week in Muskegon. I don't know if anyone saw this, the gigantic freighter that came in with the wind blades, windmill blades from, I believe, Germany. And they pulled into the Mart dock, and they were offloaded. And to grand glee by a lot of the folks who were writing in the Muskegon Chronicle, and certainly elected officials are all excited about this because there's talk about having the county, of course, they voted to become the lead. The county commissioners, the Einsteins that we have leading our county, have voted themselves to be the lead in terms of developing the Muskegon port facilities. Now, folks,
which includes a port authority, by the way.
Well, it is a port authority, I guess, is the official term. But I would just say this: I have been to other cities. Some of you may have been to other cities also. And some of them might have been on the water, and I know Fred here is a water guy, from his view on the poop deck. But one of the things that you're going to need if you want a port authority, if you want to develop, in particular, a new port, because we have, the Mart Dock is a private company. It pays property taxes. It employs people. I'm sure it pays income taxes. It does everything that all the leaders of our county tell us that we want to have. We want to have businesses coming into our community. And they have a lot of slips there. They're not full. There are other slips that are available. We know that the SAPI, the paper mill, has at least one, I think maybe two slips that are available. There's now discussions going on about the Cobb plant. But the simple reality is that if you've been to other cities and you've ever looked out, certainly from an airplane or perhaps poop deck, Fred can help us out. But if you have ships waiting outside to get into the port facilities, then you have an indication that you might need more facilities. That, to the best of my knowledge, has never happened, certainly in the last 20 years in Muskegon.
We don't have them lined up and anchored out in our anchorage areas off in Lake Michigan. And, honestly, I keep thinking about this. What are the goods that we intend to transship through the port? What are the goods? Are they agricultural goods? Are they... do we have rock quarries in the area? We got lots of oil that we're producing.
You mean shipping out?
Shipping out, shipping in. What are we going to ship in, and what are we going to ship out?
Well, let me tell you. I think I can answer that. Nothing.
Besides windmill blades.
Well, the simple reality is that commerce and companies make their own decisions as to how they're going to ship, where they're going to locate, and everything else. To have this county and have people sitting on the county commission board saying water is the new oil without any definition of what the heck they mean by that, because there is no definition, and to suggest that we need to create, driven by the Muskegon County commissioners and some of the other mayors and other leaders in our county, we need to create new port facilities to compete with one that's already not even close to being full, and one that actually is very efficient in its in providing the services is nuts.
And then on top of that, you have to start thinking about, if you are really going to develop something down there for the port facility, you have to think about your transportation facilities into and out of the port area. And so you really got to start looking at things like roadways and truck routes and railroad lines and that type of thing. And I just don't, my personal opinion is I don't think that there is the knowledge, skill, and ability on the board, certainly, but even in general across a lot of the county to be looking at that stuff right now. I think you have to really look at this from a supply and demand perspective. What are the goods? Where are the goods going to come from? And why are they going to come?
There is a pervasive ignorance among too many in government that if we build it, they will come. And we've seen this with some of the construction in downtown city of Muskegon. You see it in Detroit. You'll see it in, matter of fact, I was in California last week, and you will see it in places like that where there's government money. As a matter of fact, anybody who's driven down Sherman Avenue in Muskegon right now, the one part of Sherman that they're replacing, to my memory, was arguably the best part. The best part of the road itself is certainly in much better shape than Norton Avenue or parts of Getty still.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea that we're going to build a port facility and out of thin air there are going to be giant ships coming in and out is a fantasy, and frankly it's horribly destructive to our community. I think. But
it's all about it. It's all about leadership and decision making. If you really look at this logically, what you really want to do, if there are facilities, there's land, there's property that is down there on the waterfront, we should be developing a way to facilitate the highest level of land use that we possibly can. Now,
a concept.
That may be a port facility. It may not. It may be condos. It may not. It may be convention centers. It may not. But we ought to be developing the highest value for our land use down in that area.
Well, if you become county commissioner, you should take away their copy of Field of Dreams, okay? Their VHS copy of Field of Dreams.
Well, I would hope that they would spend a little more time focusing on the deadly potential of bras, too, because perhaps that would be less expensive and probably less destructive.
What is it, that one little section of Getty, though? I don't get it. Why is that one little section of Getty not finished?
If they build it, we will come, and maybe they don't want us to come that direction.
It's just, the whole street is great, except for that one section.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple little other headlines that kind of caught my attention. Binge drinking makes students happy. Oh, there's a shocker. CBO warns of, maybe perhaps this is the result. CBO warns of deep recession if Congress fails to avert fiscal cliff. You know, they keep coming up with more and more impactful words. Pandemic to arrive if Congress doesn't do the right thing. Odds of global recession are 100%. This is Mark Faber, who's actually been a very accurate predictor of the future. So we can continue to spend like crazy. It's not going to work, folks. It's never worked. It won't work in your family.
Yeah. Why would we ever do the things that made the country great for 238 years? I mean, why would we do that? Why don't we go off and spend ourselves to death?
Well, we've got a new jail coming in. We'll see how the county works on this. Hey, don't forget, as we said earlier, the full audio of the show, actually audio and video, will be on Monday nights, TV 38 or Comcast Channel 397. The audio of the show will be on onmuskegon.com. I post it usually this afternoon, Sunday afternoons. I'm on the Talkin' Muskegon show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with John Van Wyck and Brian Worsham from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning. No better way to start the day.
Superstars.
We are the superstars of Happy Talk on Muskegon.
I'll be in my painting class during that time.
There we go. Well, as John Van Wyck says, we're in Muskegon's a 4-minute drive time, so we are the most popular at that time. And thanks, guys. Oscar, Captain Fred, Representative Dave Ajima. Thank you, all you wonderful listeners. Pass the word. We are the only operation out there that's inviting you to contact us and having a conversation about things that a lot of folks don't want you to hear about. Next week, we're going to talk about the jail again. So we will be back with all sorts of interesting people. Folks, next week we'll put the eye on you, Muskegon. Bye-bye.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it. You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service. So, am I playing something yet, or are you playing something?
You took my spot there. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Here's what we're gonna do a Raider record. Here's a Raider record. Blake Weiss. I've got this feeling. You got that feeling? I got that feeling from that fan blowing up.
Blake Weiss?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of him.
I got that feeling from that fan blowing up in my skirt.
Okay.
Hey, you like my shirt, man? Got that from cruising. We went to cruising last Friday.
Yeah, you got.
This is 2011.
2000 last year's. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get
one.
I got
one for. I didn't either. That's why I had to buy this one. I have this year's 2012, but maybe I'll wear that next time. But anyway, Blake Weiss. While he's looking up whatever he's looking up.
Oh, I'm just looking. Go for it.
Okay. Anyway, here's Blake with I've Got This Feeling.
Now more than I catch red, and maybe it's in my head, but I've got this feeling. I was lost, I was stuck trying to find my way, but that's all yesterday. I've got this feeling, 'cause the sun is out and it feels like heaven shining down. It's clearer now. Just right, and I don't know what love feels like, but I've got this feeling. I'm seeing you and me, I'm seeing down the road. I can't see how far it goes, but I've got this feeling. I've got this feeling. The sun is out and it feels like heaven shining down. It's clearer now and everything's gonna be alright. It's a better day, and it feels like winning, like
That was it.
Wasn't that a Backstreet Boys song too? So Tough.
Get tough.
Something like that. Yeah.
Will tough get going.
There you go. There you go. Blake Weiss. I've got this feeling. I don't know. I got this feeling it's not going anywhere. But you rate it. You tell me what you think. It was from 2010.
It didn't sound too bad. I'd give
right.
that a 7.
It was all right. It was from 2010. Okay. Blake Weiss upcoming BBR album. So he's got an album coming out and probably already out.
Probably
this
out.
Came out in
now,
2010. Yeah. I've never heard of him though. So there we go.
There's
one.
I haven't heard of that. I have not heard of him. Chet Atkins.
Want to hold that record?
Guitar genius.
Yeah. This was.
Oh, we ain't gonna get a chance to see much of that.
Yeah, but this was my grandmother who died just recently. She was 90. She was 90. Yeah, there we go. Duh. She was 93 years old, and Chet Atkins actually was the one that my grandfather or my mother's grandfather loved the most. Loved Chet Atkins. Had all the Chet Atkins albums. This is one that I had that they had that was in pretty good shape. So I don't know which song. Got Heartbreak Hotel on the Swanee River, Blackjack.
Let's just try it. See what it sounds
yeah.
like.
So Chet Atkins.
Chet Atkins.
It says it's
very great
hits, right?
Yeah, great guitar player.
Oh yeah. So he was pretty young here too. You're stepping on my sleeve.
I'm stepping on what?
Stepping on my sleeve, man.
Okay.
Get off my sleeve, dude. There he is, Chet Atkins, the guitar genius.
Whoops.
Living stereo. Oops.
Here it comes. I'm going to flip it over. We're going to play Blackjack. How's that?
Oh, okay. All right. So Chad Atkins.
Loudermilk wrote this one. Let's just see what it sounds like.
All right, Blackjack.
1, 2, 3. Somewhere. Wait a minute. Let me get the
Needle on a
bifocals
record.
down here.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't see the crack. I can't see the groove.
I'll bend over for you.
I won't talk. I won't talk.
Blackjack.
And that was something else.
Yeah. Won't talk.
Well, by George, the geniuses. Turn your other camera on. Turn the other camera on. The geniuses fixed the turntable.
Yeah, so it doesn't warp and sound funky.
That's that liner that for toolboxes and stuff.
Yeah, because that record was another one of those RCA Flexi records.
And it was just, we can't really see, but if I go like this, you see these little black things right here? That's the wrong one. It's got felt on it. And if you play an LP, I don't know what that's there for, to keep the record clean or what, but what it would do is it would hit those, and that would affect the playing. So we put this on, which is nothing's going to slide on that. It brought it up a little bit. Now they play better.
Yeah, I don't get the felt things. What the heck they're there for? I mean, it's like, why would you even have those things on there?
Well, clean the record because to see the dust, see the dust and stuff on the other side.
Do you really want to slow the record down with the?
Well, I don't think they intended it to slow the record down. I think that was an accident. I think.
Yeah, that's why it's a new mark instead of a Techniques. Right?
Yeah, right.
I tell you what, those old Techniques, even though I don't have a Techniques just like it, it's the American DJ or American whatever it is. But anyway, it's a replica of the old Techniques turntable. You can't stop those things when they're not belt driven. They're driven hard. They're driving hard. All right. Anyway,
get that thing out of my face. There we go.
All right. So is my turn again?
I don't. Yeah, want me to go to Frankie Lane.
There you go. Go for it.
The Woman in Love.
I'm gonna find something decent here anyway.
Okay.
I don't want to hear wannabe.
All right. This is Frankie Lane and The Woman in Love. Of course, Frankie Lane. Everybody remembers him. He did the Cry the Wild. No, Cry the Wild Goose. I'll tell you, but he did the Ghost Riders.
Ghost Riders in the sky.
Well, he's the one that did the theme song from Rawhide too. He's the one that was singing that. Keep the doggies. I think they said doggies back.
Rolling. Keep those doggies rolling.
Frankie Lane. Here he is. Born Frank Paul Lavecchio. Okay, now that's Italian, right? In 1913 in Chicago, Illinois. He first recorded exclusive in 1945, signed to the Mercury label in 1947, charted 44 pop hits from 47 to 54, including 3 number ones. That lucky old son, Mule Train.
I remember that,
that's
Mule
it.
Train.
Yeah, Mule Train and The Cry of the Wild Goose. The Cry of the Wild Goose. Dynamic singer whose popularity lasted well into the rock era.
Can I give you a wild goose?
Well, no, anyways, I remember his big hit in the pop field was I'm a Moonlight Gambler. Remember that? In Love Was a Golden Ring.
I probably do. I just can't.
Yeah, A Woman in Love made number 19 in '55, and he had a cover version of the Hummingbird. Remember Les Paul, Mary Ford did a Hummingbird, fly right on by. Okay. Anyways, here you go with A Woman in Love.
That record's in pretty good shape too.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I can stop it. It's not bad. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but it's not bad.
Yeah. A Woman in Love.
Your eyes are the eyes of a woman in love, and oh, how they give you away. Why try to deny you're a woman in love when I know very well what I say? Ever lent such a glow, some flame deep within made them shine. Those eyes are the eyes
of a woman in love, and may they gaze evermore into mine, crazily gaze evermore into mine. Those eyes are the eyes of a woman in love, and may they gaze evermore into mine, crazily gaze evermore into mine.
Mr. Frankie Lane singing A Woman in Love.
You needed your...
On the Columbia label. Oh, geez, yeah, that thing is... I mean, the surface noise you would pick up on a brand new record like this is not degradable. It's the way the record looks.
Yeah.
That's how you go very good plus, mint, mint minus. And then if you want to grade it, you grade the sound. Like the Sun records were terrible.
Yeah.
Along with the Motown. For the surface noise. It could be a brand new record, not a mark on it, and that thing could be scratchy as hell.
I remember the thing that used to upset me the most, and I got like 2 albums because one of my favorite albums was Stevie Wonder Intervisions. And they did that flexi record thing and then whatever, but anyway, so but it was just a horrible record because it always skipped on me. You get to you'd play it a few times, you'd try to be nice to it, it always would skip. So Anyway,
I
was
hate it
happy.
when you get a CD like that?
Well, yeah, I haven't got a CD like that, but anyway.
What I hate is when I order a CD because I see a song. Oh, my God, I wanted that. Find out that I had it already.
I do that because
that's what you call getting your
fancy.
You see
that or not.
That's what you call getting your fancy ahead of you or whatever.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme, salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds, open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it. You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Yeah, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
Frankie
Oh,
Lyman.
yeah,
Yeah, I like Frankie Lyman.
Yeah,
that man could sing.
I just pulled this thing out of there. They're from the Bronx, and I'll never forget they were on Ed Sullivan. I think I said this once before, but it needs to be said again. This is Goody Goody, which is I got to put that on it.
45 thing. Yeah.
Goody Goody, and it's not in real good shape. It's an old record.
Look at that.
Yeah, and they were on Ed Sullivan, and Ed Sullivan was interviewing Frankie Lyman, and one of the teenagers came up and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Sullivan," and nobody knew what was going on. He says, "Can we sing our next song in a hurry?" And as Ellen says, well, what are you in such a hurry for? And he says, well, I want to sing it before my voice changes. He's the guy that goes, doom, doom, doom. And they wanted to sing before his voice changed. It was a joke. They were doing a joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the old standard.
Frankie Lyman will be the one to say before my voice changes.
Yeah, I know.
They had
to get up there. But the guy with a deep voice, too, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you know? Anyways, Goody Goody. The old Frank Sinatra song from the 40s or 30s.
Well, Frankie Lyman did a lot of that.
Yeah,
Frank
he
Sinatra
did
type
after
stuff.
they got done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, on the G label.
I'm sorry. Here we go. Go back.
Hang on.
G label. G.
Goody Goody made number 20 in 57. It's worth $40.
Why is it in?
I don't know. Your camera's doing the funky G-haw again.
Yeah. What's going on?
Go ahead and play it. The hell with it. I'll get it on to 45 here in a minute.
There we go.
So you met someone who set you back on your heels. Goody goody. So you met someone and now you know how it feels. Goody goody. So you gave him your heart too, just as I gave mine to you. And he broke it in little pieces. And now how do you do? So you lie awake just singing the blues all night. Goody goody. So you think that love's a pile of dynamite. Hooray and hallelujah, you had it coming to ya. Goody goody for him, goody goody for me. And I hope you're satisfied, your rascal you. So you met someone who set you back on your heels. Goody goody. So you met someone and now you know how it feels. Goody goody. So you gave him your heart too, just as I gave mine to you. And you broke it in little pieces. And now how do you do? So you lie awake just sing the blues all night. Goody goody. So you think that love's a ball of dynamite. Hooray and hallelujah, you had it coming to ya. Goody goody for him, goody 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 for me. Your love has been denied, you've been taken for a ride, and I hope you're satisfied, your
Good for you. Good.
That was a deeper colored red on this G label. A lot of them were lighter color. It's not in the real best of shape, but it came out of the junk records. So I'll put it up on eBay. Somebody will want it. You know.
Yeah. Oh, Frankie.
Maybe
Lyman.
I'll have to check and see if I got a copy of it.
Yeah.
Before I go giving it away or selling it or something.
Enough about turntables. What do you got for me? You got anything for me or no?
Dead skin is what it looks like. Oh, you're talking about something else.
It's got pop up.
What, are you snorting your pop now or what?
Got a little. It's not Pepsi or not Coke. It's Pepsi I'm snorting. So some people snort Coke. I snort Pepsi.
I love it. I turn around. Here's ooze coming out of his nose. It's just what I wanted to see.
Right.
Oh boy.
As long as I don't see any ooze coming out.
Forgot what I was doing now.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Are you doing something, or am I throwing something else
No,
on?
I was trying to hide my dead skin that was coming out of there. You want me to do something?
If you want, yeah.
I'm just going to throw this on. There's no introduction needed in this one.
Okay.
Throw it on, play it. Hey, straight out of the 70s.
All right, here we go. We'll look. Oh, Lightfoot. I'm liking it. I'm liking
Gordon.
it already. Sundown. Here we go.
There it is. Sundown, Gordon Lightfoot.
I like it.
Now, I guess I didn't tell anybody. I'm just pulling records out of my junk record stuff.
He's pulling records out of his butt. Yep.
Yeah,
there we
no,
go.
just pull records out of the junk record stuff. I better put this on 45, though.
Probably a good idea.
There, 45.
Oh, I love this song. I like it. Here we go.
see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. I can picture every move that a man could make. Getting lost in her loving is your first mistake. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning when I'm losing again. I can see her looking fast in her faded jeans. She's a hard-loving woman, got me feeling mean. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning when I'm losing again.
Yeah.
Mr. Sundown doing Gordon Lightfoot. No, I mean Gordon Lightfoot fart.
Doing Reprise Records.
Reprise Records.
Well, Reprise, okay.
You know where you know whose label that was, don't you? You know who owned that label?
Reprise?
Yeah, chairman of the board.
What was that? Not on my cool
Your dye
cruising-
tie is now
my cool cruising shirt.
Your
Come
dye
on.
tie is now snot.
Yeah, snot rag.
Ah.
What?
Whoa! I don't know where that came from.
The chairman of the board.
Frank.
Why,
Frank
Frank
Sinatra.
Sinatra. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't there.
That's all right.
Yeah.
When we get done, I'll trim this up a little bit around the edges because on a 45 you can see the edge twirling around.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll give it a try.
Oh,
well, look at that, will you?
Hannah McNeil.
Hannah McNeil.
I need a break.
Well, that's my foot doing that. I keep my foot off of there. Okay, I need a break.
I need a break.
Yeah, the picture of her. She's a cute little thing. You can't.
I can't read.
Would you like me to take it and put
I
it
would
on
like
there
you to,
for you?
yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, wait a minute. Where am I? There you go.
There you go.
Well, she reminds me of somebody.
Actress. Like Lynn Anderson a little bit.
Yeah.
In the young days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hannah McNeil. Okay.
McNeil. All right. So
what are we going to listen to? What are we going to hear?
I need a break.
I need a break.
I need a break.
I need a break from the CD called I Need a Break.
She must be a song she wrote.
What, are we in the country field tonight or what?
Yeah, she must be a song she wrote at McDonald's.
I need a break? Oh, okay.
Don't well get up and
boy.
get away to McDonald's.
All right.
Yeah, Barry Manilow wrote that song.
Whoops.
What was that? Oh, your coffee. I need a break.
Fasten your seatbelts and let's take a ride. Don't matter where with you by my side. And baby, Hawaii, Australia's nice too. Baby, I'd go hey anywhere with you, yeah. We'll go to the coast and we'll take in the view. Go see your mama, hey, that's what we'll do. There's nothing to lose, so let's take a trip. Baby, let's go. Let's let her rip. I need a break. I need to take 5 days in the sun, not under the gun. Fire up the board, we'll never get bored. No, not me. I wanna be free, free from the stress. I gotta confess, I need a break. So take me anywhere. Like it or don't, the days go so fast. You blink and that moment's a part of your past. Life is so short when work's all we do. Yeah, baby, let's go. 'Cause I wanna be with you. I'm tired of being tired. I need some fun. Let's get in your car and follow the sun. I need a break. I need to take 5 days in the sun, not under the gun. Fire up the board, we'll never get bored. No, not me. I wanna be free, free from the stress. I gotta confess, I need a break. I need to take 5 days in the sun, not under the gun. Fire up the board, we'll never get bored. No, not me. I wanna be free, free from the stress. I gotta confess, I need a break. So take me anywhere. Take me anywhere. I need a break. I said, come on, come on, come on, yeah. Come on, come on, come on. I need a break. Let's go anywhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a break.
You know what I mean?
I need a break.
I need a break from this song.
She's cute and all.
Let her rip.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was cute and all, but
Yeah.
I think we need a break from her.
Song was,
hey, that looks pretty good like that, don't
yeah,
it?
song was. And all I gotta do is go like that.
Yeah.
The song was choppy. Her voice did not flow. There was, wasn't any real rhythm.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
it
that-
was like a song written by a six-year-old or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying that with a little work and
I need a break.
few other songs or writers that she won't make it, but
She's cute. She got that going for her. That's about it.
yeah.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now 866-728-6400.
The Harborview Grill is a culinary distinction in White Lake. White House Place to dine on mirrors behind Bell's Furniture. The Harborview is spectacular and the food amazing. There's homestyle Sundays, the day where Emil and Alice cook a homestyle meal from scratch, or cook and catch. Book a charter and Harborview Grill will cook the catch. Not to mention their great meals served daily. Harborview Grill, where friends gather and memories are made.
How do you make a big noise in a small town? It's all about the food.
Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Sail on into Crosswinds, White House favorite lakeside restaurant. Take your seat and enjoy views of the lake from the comfort of our dining room or the waterside deck. Our chefs have created a playful menu of offerings such as fresh fish, steaks, delicious salads, and gourmet burgers to tempt your palate, all of which are made of fresh ingredients from local farms. Refreshing signature cocktails and a food-friendly wine and beer list are also available. Boaters, call ahead and we will have your order ready for pickup, or allow us to deliver it to you dockside. As our guest, you can expect friendly service and a relaxing, memorable dining experience. So set sail to Crosswinds and let the breeze bring you here.
You put your table in, they take your painting out. You bring your linens in and shake the creases out.
That's how we do it at Colby's Hokey Pokey. It's hip, eclectic, and sassy with 4,500 square feet of one-of-a-kind items like vintage furniture, jewelry, reinvented pieces. You'll find new ladies' discounted designer clothing, most under $20. Come poke around and don't be pokey. Hurry to Colby's Hokey Pokey and find the unexpected today.
You do the hokey pokey in downtown Whitehall. That's what it's all about.